the Lone Wolf G9 9mm carbine. Let's check it out. There's just something about a 9mm AR carbine that has intrigued me. I definitely understand the lesser power of a pistol caliber carbine. But we're going to take a look today at the Lone Wolf G9 AR-15 carbine that takes Glock magazines. Now, one of the particular things about ordering this rifle is that you order the lower and the upper separate. They do not offer a complete rifle, which obviously it's really easy to attach the two parts. Now, this is pretty much the way it comes when you put the upper and lower assemblies together. Sight ready, no sights, but a Picatinny rail all along the top. And of course you see your Glock magazine. One of the big things about the 9mm carbine over the years has been magazine price. I mean, with the Colt, the magazines were very expensive plus hard to find. Glock mags just work, and as long as the rifle's good, the magazines are going to be great. That's one of the weak links though with the standard AR-15 carbine has been the magazine. First thing I'm going to do is remove the magazine, make sure the gun is empty, and it is. Now, the G9 lower is a 7075 T6 aluminum. This is actually a forged lower that has been CNC milled to make all the different places and the changes that need to be made for this to be a 9mm. One of the most obvious is this right here, the magazine well. It is made for your Glock magazine. You can see the bevel that goes all the way around, so it's going to be really easy to insert those mags in there. Now, the magazines seat in just perfectly, a nice snap, and then you have your magazine release right here. It's in the same place as your standard AR-15, but it's much larger. Really easy to grab hold of and to pull down. Of course, with the 33 round Glock mags, they just work great. But so does the ETS mags, which these are great and the price is right. I think I got this for like $18.99, and this is just a great deal. ETS also makes AR-15 magazines that are excellent. Of course, your standard G17 mags will fit. 19 Magpul Glock P mags. But what's really cool is your Glock 26 mag will fit right there. Now you have your Lone Wolf logo just engraved right into the receiver. These built up areas here, this differentiates the rifle. Your standard fire control is right here, and also your trigger, which we're going to look at in a minute. But these are all AR-15 parts. So all of these different things are suitable, and you can upgrade or do whatever you want to with standard AR-15 parts, including all the accessories. It does have the forward assist, but it's just there. It doesn't do anything. Of course, there are no ridges here, and a lot of people are going away from forward assist anyway, and I've only used it one time in all the thousands of rounds I've ever shot, but it's there. And your dust cover. Of course, you've got your standard castle nut with a mil-spec buffer tube. It is staked, which I was pleasantly surprised. It does use the standard charging handle, and so this can be changed out, which I would definitely go with the BCM Gunfighter charging handle just because I like them. Disassembly is the same as your standard AR. Just bring out your takedown pin and you lift up your upper. Now, one of the things you're going to notice though up front is the ejector. It's definitely different, and because of the blowback action, you need that. Your hammer, your trigger, the fire control system is the same. So you're going to be able to change this out if you want to get a different trigger. One of the things I found out about this trigger is that it is really smooth. One thing too about the fire control group is this hammer is a 5.56 hammer, and that's what works with the bolt carrier. If you get a 9mm hammer, it will not work with the Lone Wolf bolt carrier. So this is a complete AR-15 5.56 fire control group. Now the bolt carrier is definitely different. Where your gas key was now, it's just a pin here that actually hooks to your charging handle, and to be able to bring it back. So this will ride in the top of the receiver. But you can see it's totally different, and there are no cuts here. One of the things though that they did was, to make this work with Glock mags, they had to do an uppercut right here on the bolt carrier. And this allows for it to work with the Glock mags. But pretty much firing pin, everything is very similar. But this is a much different part, and it is pretty weighty. Then here at the back, it is solid. This is made from 8620 steel, and it is heat treated to 50 to 55 Rockwell hardness. Of course, the bolt itself is built into the carrier, so this is your bolt. And so there are no locking lugs, because this is a blowback design, and obviously I haven't cleaned it. And with your chamber, there are no locking lugs here. This is definitely a 9mm blowback system. Taking a look at the buffer, bring it down. Here you can see the buffer itself is different. It's going to have some real weight to it, some real mass, and that's going to work with the blowback action. As far as play between the upper and lower receiver, there is none. It is rock solid. The barrel is 16 inches. It is 4150 chrome moly steel, and it's a 1 in 10 twist. It does have one of the A2 style bird cage. This is, I'm sure it's 1/2 by 28 threads with the crush washer. Has the M4 profile barrel, but when you look through the handguard, there is no gas tube or gas block. Now it does come with a quad rail, which quad rails are not quite as popular as they used to be because of the bulk. This one is a pretty streamlined rail, a lot of room in between, but each side is T-marked, which I found pretty fascinating, even the bottom. It also comes with one of the standard A2 carbine stocks. It is on a mil-spec buffer tube, and then you have your standard AR-15 pistol grip. But really, when you consider that there are so many different options out on the market for aftermarket parts, whether it's stocks, grips, fore-ends, really this keeps the price down just to go with basics. Then you can change it out to whatever your preference is. Of course, many people are debating about the effectiveness of a pistol caliber carbine. Why have it? I mean, it's the full size of an AR-15. It's pretty much an AR-15 upper and lower. In fact, a lot of the parts are compatible with the actual 5.56. One of the big things to me about this particular rifle is that you can use Glock magazines. And if you're carrying the Glock, you can use the Glock magazines and vice versa. So it's a, compatible caliber between the two, which makes it really nice. And also the velocity that you're getting out of the barrel is more like a 4-inch 357 Magnum, about 1,300 feet per second. So that gives you a lot more capability than about 1,100 feet per second, and these are just generalizations of a standard 9mm. So you get more velocity, that gives you more energy. A lot of the barrels allowing the powder to really burn out and to get that velocity up. And another big plus with 9mm is to be able to suppress the rifle. You can get subsonic ammunition pretty easily and put your suppressor on here, and it's much quieter. And honestly, it's much quieter anyway. Now, one thing that it's not is the recoil is not any less than the 5.56 because of the blowback action, which this does have a blowback action. We'll look at it a little closer. But because of that, the bolt is coming back, and it's really similar to the 5.56, which to some people it surprises them. But one big thing that you don't really realize is that you're getting less muzzle blast off of a 9mm, whereas with the 5.56 it is humming. I mean, we're talking about 3,000 feet per second with a 5.56, or 1,300 with a 9mm carbine. But one of the probably biggest reasons is you can practice a lot more with 9mm, having the same features of your AR-15, but for about 23 cents a round compared to 42 cents a round. And of course, that's generalizations. There's cheaper, there's higher, but it's about double the price, and you're getting a lot of bang for your buck with the 9mm. At the range, we had a great time. It was very controllable. The 9mm, again, it's not that it's that much softer in recoil than your 5.56, but I think because there's a whole lot less muzzle blast. There's something about it that just really isn't the high pressure that the 5.56 is. Even though the 5.56 is not really known to be a super powerful round. but the 9mm is just a joy to shoot. And one of the big things about it is, I think, it's just because of the price of the ammo. You know that it's about half the price, and so it just makes it a lot better when you're firing those rounds through, especially these Glock 30-round magazines. The balance was there. It was really easy to get on target using the Primary Arms 2.5 power prism scope. You know, it was just really a joy. And you didn't really need a whole lot of magnification because of the limitations of the 9mm round. Again, we're looking at a 357 Magnum with a 4-inch barrel out of here, which is much better than your standard Glock pistol. So while this definitely is not necessarily a rifle caliber, there are a lot of things about this that make it very appealing. Now, the optic we used really throughout the review was the Primary Arms 2.5 power scope. These are no longer made. They discontinued these, and it's a great little scope, but they have a number of other scopes that are very similar. Also, I put this in one of the American Defense mounts, and I've really gotten to where I love these mounts. They're fairly reasonable, and when you get with these QD type systems, they can be expensive, but made in the USA, so and it's really good quality, fully adjustable. Now, I want to thank Freedom Munitions for supplying the ammo. We went through over 500 rounds through this rifle. We just couldn't quit shooting it. And I took it out for 3 different days at the range. So Freedom Munitions thinks it's really good shooting stuff. We had 0 problems with the ammo. It was just excellent. Here was my first group, shooting a little bit low, but a fairly tight little group, 1 flyer. And then here I went ahead and shot a couple of others, and then I noticed that it was shooting a little bit low, so I bumped it up a little bit. And then here, moving it up, nice solid group, had a flyer, and but it seemed to do very well. And that was with Freedom Munitions 115 grain full metal jacket. And this was at 50 yards with 2.5x Primary Arm scope. Lone Wolf does offer a pistol version of the lower, but it also offers a 40 caliber upper. Now, the 40 caliber upper it is a direct blowback or a direct impingement. So the upper obviously is different because the caliber is different. But that is one, it will work in your standard Lone Wolf G9 lower. And of course the magazines are the same size, so they'll both fit in the magazine well. But throw on an optic or some sights and this rifle is ready to go. If you want to change things out, again, like we talked about, it's real easy to do. You can take your grip, your stock, you can change out the handguard, you can put a different muzzle brake on here, you can trick it out however you want to. But again, as it is, it's ready to roll. Lone Wolf's been around for a long time. They are a standard for those who love Glock stuff. And I have a number of different Lone Wolf parts and accessories. So when they came out with the G9 carbine that carried the Glock magazine, I knew that that was something that I really needed in my arsenal. Because, you know, these are a lot of fun. The lower runs $384.95 on the Lone Wolf website. And that's the complete assembly. The upper assembly in the 16-inch barrel is $689.95. That's about $1,074, which is comparable to any of your AR-15 carbines. In fact, I know of a number that are quite more expensive than that. Go to the Lone Wolf distributor website, and it's lonewolfdist.com, and you can check out all the different features that they have around the G9 carbine, and also again with all the Glock parts and things like that. So the Lone Wolf G9 9mm carbine, thumbs way up. You already knew that. Be strong, be of good courage. God bless America, long live the Republic. it's much larger than your regular. Okay. Once it starts to go through things, loses a lot of the, you know, your. And I want to thank Freedom Munitions for offering. Now I want to thank Freedom Munitions for. Now I want to thank Freedom Munitions.
It'll make me work for it, huh?
One of these days, we'll give it a big thumbs down.